In our opinion, that's the linchpin, because I think when you look at it from a sum of the parts, services, we think that business alone is about $500 billion, about, call it $450 billion. And I think that's really what the street now is starting to reanalyze that, and the multiple continues to expand. And in our opinion, the iPhone product cycle continues to be there, ASPs lift, and now it's a services business.
What kind of growth quarter on quarter do we need to see in services in order to get to that $310 price target in a year?
Well, I think it's really about, can they hit $50 billion in the next year and a half? I mean, from a revenue perspective. Because I think on the sum of the parts, as they're able to do that, then you can start to justify that services business. We think when you add sum of the parts, the core iPhone business is worth about $1 trillion, and then $500 billion for the service.
So talk to me about China and how important it is in your hypothesis here, and how important the Chinese consumer is. Because I would think that as you get the price point higher, the Chinese consumer probably feels it maybe more acutely than consumers in other economies.
Yeah, I mean, look, China's the fuel in the engine. And fundamentally, we don't get to $1.5 trillion or even a stock that goes higher here if China is not a significant growth catalyst. What we see about 60 to 70 million iPhones coming up for an upgrade cycle in China. We believe about 50 to 60% of those do get upgraded, which speaks to our view that the 220 million iPhones for this year and the ASPs, I think what we believe is toward about $800. That's going to translate into what we think is sort of an upside, about 3 to 5% for the year for Apple. And I think as we move forward, the street's going to sort of reanalyze and put a re-multiple on the stock.
So Dan, so Apple's going to make $13.65. So I'll give you $15 in earnings a year and a half, 2 years from now. I'll give you that number. That's still a 20 multiple, more than a 20 multiple, given your price target, which is something they've never been north of that market multiple. Do they now deserve it of it, given everything you just said? Because that's the math.
And I think without the services, they're not. They're a teenager in terms of where they're going to trade. I think the services business is how they start to get that sort of re-rating to that 20 to 22 times. And that's why right now for Cook and company, it's really about not making a bad strategic move, maybe on the content side or M&A, but it's really just executing on China, execute on the iPhone strategy, and ASP seeing that lift. But services, that's front and center for us to see this.
And where are the potential pitfalls?
Well, I think the pitfalls is China, just given what we're seeing in terms of just trade tariffs. Can there be a supply chain disruption? And really specifically, can consumers start to digest that higher price point with the lower competition?